Happy Tuesday, Year 3. Welcome to today's Literacy Learning. And today we will be using our Key Stage 2 English reading book once again. So make sure that you have that ready for our lesson. But before we move on, Year 3, I've got my big superstar shout-outs. And my first one is to Emily. Hello, Emily. Emily, you have been doing your whiteboard work and you have been sending it in to me. And you are doing all of your challenges too. And you were up so early yesterday, ready for your new week of learning, so well done you. And my second one is to CJ. Hi CJ. CJ, the same goes for you. I received your work ever so early in the morning, which shows me that you are getting up and you've got a really good attitude to learning. And you answered question 5 correctly, which a lot of people found very difficult, so well done. Okay, who is ready for today's warm-up to warm your brains up? And it says here, tenses time machine. Now I know what tenses are. Tilly the technician was tinkering with the tenses time machine when she made a terrible trip up. Oh dear Tilly. She accidentally turned all of the past tense verbs into the present tense. So we know that past tense verbs mean they are verbs that have already happened. So this morning I ate my breakfast. Okay, and I know that my present tense of ate is what? I am eating. Well done. Okay, so Tilly has made all of my past tense verbs into the present tense. Wear, throw, swim. But we need to change them to the past tense. So have a think now. Oh, sail. You sail a boat. Okay, sailing is present tense as well. But if I've already sailed is my past tense verb. So I know with sails, I just have to add ed on the end. But what about throw? That's a difficult one. You can't put ed on the end of that. Throwed, that's not a word. Okay, I throw a ball. I threw a ball. Well done if you got that correct. Okay, so what I want you to do now is to use your whiteboard and pen. So if you haven't got it, just hit pause on the video and go and get them. And you are going to write all of my present tense verbs in the past tense, okay? So correct what Tilly has done here. I can't wait to see those words emailed into the Year 3 email. I hope you've got your tenses correct, Year 3. Okay, so yesterday in our learning, what were we doing in our reading? What skill were we using? We were retrieving information from the text, but we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. So, your learning question for Tuesday the 23rd of February is, can I explain how meaning is enhanced through the choice of words? This is a fancy word, isn't it? So we know that meaning is what a word means. So we sometimes use a dictionary or a thesaurus and we find the meaning of a word. All words have a meaning. Enhanced, what does that mean? There's a big clue on the board. It means to make it better. Okay, so today on pages 8 and 9 of your reading books, we're going to be looking at how the author uses words, okay, to enhance the meaning. Okay, so this is Vocabulary Victor. Now, Vocabulary Victor will help you to look at how authors and poets have chosen to use certain words and phrases and why. So why has the author chosen to write it that way? Okay, Year 3, I'll let you into a little secret. Authors use something called a metaphor in their stories or their poems. Now, I'm not sure that I've taught you metaphors before, but I'm sure that you have learnt these before. So I wonder if anybody can remember what a metaphor is. Okay. So if not, I will tell you. A metaphor is when two things that are different are compared to each other. So here we have lots and lots of snow, and here I have a lovely, soft, fluffy blanket. My metaphor for this is, the snow is a white blanket. Now we know snow isn't a white blanket, but we are comparing them to each other. This is what a metaphor does. And my question to you is, why? Why do authors use metaphors? Why do you think an author would say the snow is a white blanket rather than saying, oh, the snow is white? Okay, think about that, why? Okay. So I think that they use the metaphor, the snow is a white blanket, because it sounds more interesting and it puts a picture in my head that the snow looks like a massive white blanket on the floor. Okay, so I have a whiteboard task for you now, year 3. I've got 2 pictures here. So I've got quite a messy baby, and I've got a greedy pig as well. And I want you to guess what my metaphor is going to be for these pictures. Now, to help you, let's go back and identify some of the features of a metaphor. Okay, so we have the 2 objects, don't we, in our pictures. And what words do we use in between our objects? It says the snow is a white blanket. Okay, so I need a metaphor for these 2 pictures. And I have written a sentence here. Okay, now I want you to tell me, yes, Miss Morgan, that is a metaphor, or no, that isn't a metaphor. Okay, the baby is as messy as a pig. Okay, the baby, yes, I've used one item. The pig, yes, I've used another. And I've used is. Okay, but what sentence type is this, year 3? It is a simile. Well done if you spotted that. So we're not writing similes today. No, we are writing metaphors, okay? So we've got a baby and a pig. What is my metaphor? So pause the video now and write it on your whiteboard. Okay, let's see if you were correct, year 3. I hope you've written that sentence. My metaphor is, my brother is a pig. So well done if you wrote, the baby is a pig. Okay, so remember, metaphor has is and a. Okay. Before we go any further, year 3, make sure that you have got your Key Stage 2 Reading Year 3 book, and you have got either a highlighter or a pencil and a pen as well. And before we move any further, I just wanted to say well done for yesterday's learning, because our questions were quite difficult, weren't they, in our book? But today we will be using our poems again, Child's Song and Spring and Loveliest of Trees. So how lucky is that we get to use the same text again? And today we are going to finish questions page 8 and page 9. Okay. And remember, what was our learning question for today? We were looking at vocabulary and why the authors use certain vocabulary to enhance its meaning. Okay. So, for our question number 1, it says satin is a glossy material. Edith Nesbit describes the silver birch as wearing a satin gown. What do you think she is telling you about the tree? Now I know that a satin gown is a lovely shiny glossy material, and it's a dress on a lady, or it's like a dressing gown. So I'm sure you've got a fluffy dressing gown at home, but some people have a satin gown. Okay. And it says Edith Nesbit describes the silver birch. Which poem is that one, year 3? Edith Nesbit, which poem does she read? Right, she wrote the Child's Song in Spring. So, she describes the silver birch as wearing a satin gown. What do you think she's telling you about the tree? So, picture it in your head. The tree is wearing a satin gown. What is she telling you about the texture of that tree? What does the tree look like? Okay, have a think. Right, question number 2. You've got to listen very carefully, so get your listening ears on, because it talks about rhyming patterns. Now, we know that words that rhyme are words that sound like each other or spelt similar as well. So I know that boo and you rhyme because they make the same sound at the end. Boo and you. Okay, cloth and moth, they rhyme. So it says, complete the table below to show which poem each rhyming pattern matches. Okay, so in our poems, we sometimes have rhyming matches, which mean that the words at the end of the sentences sometimes rhyme. Okay, so we've got a rhyming pattern here that says A, B, B, and we've got a rhyming pattern that goes A, B, B. Okay, so A means that the two words rhyme together on the first sentence and the second sentence. And then we have BB, which means that the third sentence and the fourth sentence also rhyme. Okay, so let's have a look at the loveliest, the child's song in spring. Okay, so you can use your pencil or your pen here to find those rhyming words which are usually at the end of the sentences. So our first one is lady. So our first line is lady. That's going to be A. And we've got to decide if the second line's word at the end rhymes with lady. So we've got lady and gown. Do they rhyme? No, they don't rhyme. Okay, so let's try our next line, our third line down. Lady, shady. That rhymes, doesn't it? Lady and shady. So I'm going to write A next to shady as well. Okay, but my gown is left empty. Okay, so let's see if the fourth line matches with gown. Gown and town, do they rhyme? Yes, they do. So I'm going to match those together with B. Now, what pattern does the child's song in spring make what rhyming pattern? A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. Okay, so let's look back at our table. Name of the poem it is used in. Which poem uses A, B rhyming? Okay, and then if you look at the next poem, look at your words at the end. Now and bow. Do they rhyme? They do, so I'm going to write A and A because they match. Ride and Eastertide, they match as well. Have a look, what pattern does the loveliest of trees follow? What rhyming pattern? A, B, B. Okay, so if you go back to your table now, make sure you write the name, the title of the poem, and match it to the correct rhyming pattern. Okay, so have a good go at that one. That one is quite difficult, Year 3, but I know you can do it. Okay, and question number 3. How old was the poet when he wrote Loveliest of Trees? So I'm going to find the poem Loveliest of Trees first, okay? I've got to think, how old was the poet? Okay, so I know that this poem is The Loveliest of Trees, but I'm sure it doesn't tell me his age in it. Make sure you read it and check. Now I remember that in our glossary, it told us that 70 years and 10 means 70 years. 3 scores years and 10, so that equals to 70 years. Okay, and then it's almost like a little riddle, Year 3. Okay, so you might need to use some of your math skills here. So he was 70. Now with my 3 years and 10, 20 will not come again. And take 70 springs a score. It only leaves me with 50 more. So how old is he? Let's have a look. Is he 20, 50 or 70? Okay, so make sure you tick the right one. Okay, so now we are going to move on to our questions on page number 9. Okay, for our questions on page 9, we are going to use some of today's learning about metaphors. But before we move on to that question, we've got to answer question 4. And it says, why do you think Edith Nesbit thinks the plane tree is kind to the poor dull city? Okay, so I know that Edith Nesbit has written the child's song at spring. And I'm looking for the plane tree and why it's kind to the poor dull city. Okay, so can you find the plane tree? I found it just at the end of our poem, so I'm going to underline that to help me to answer the question. Okay, and I'm going to read that paragraph. The chestnut's proud and the lilac's pretty, the poplar's gentle and tall, but the plane tree's kind to the poor dull city. I love him best of all. Okay, so you've got to think, how are trees kind? Okay, what do trees do to the planet that make them kind? Now, I know if I'm using my science brain, that trees give off something. I'll give you a clue. They give off oxygen and they help the air to clear up. So that's one way in which the plane tree can be kind to the poor dull city. But think about the adjective dull. The city is dull, it's boring, it's dismal, okay? A bit like the weather today outside. Okay, so what does the plane tree do to the dull city? Okay, it brightens it up. It makes it look more vibrant, okay? So have a think, how are trees kind to the poor dull city? Okay, so question 5, let's use our learning about metaphors today. So A, Child's Song in Spring is full of metaphors. Take all the phrases below, which are metaphors. Okay, so I know I've probably got to read all of these sentences and decide, is it a metaphor, is it not a metaphor? So I'm going to use my pen whilst I do it. The silver birch is a dainty lady. What important feature does this have to make me think this might be a metaphor? Is A. I've got 2 items, the silver birch and the dainty lady. And I've got is A. Okay, they're 2 completely different things and we are putting them together. The willow is smart in a suit of yellow. So the willow is smart in a suit of yellow. Am I taking 2 separate things there and making them one thing? I don't think so. The lilac's pretty. Is that a metaphor? Has it got 2 items? The English oak is a sturdy fellow. Okay, is that a metaphor? Okay, so 5B. Find and copy a metaphor from Loveliest of Trees. Okay, so we've got to look at the poem, The Loveliest of Trees, and I need you to find me a metaphor. Okay, so remember we've got 2 items, and usually you can look for the words is A. Okay, so have a look through the poem and see if you can find a metaphor. And then our last question here is a challenge. The cat says, the poem has it all wrong. Cherry trees don't usually have snow on them in springtime. Explain to the cat what the poem really means in the last line of The Loveliest of Trees. So I know that The Loveliest of Trees is all about a cherry blossom tree, but it's covered in snow in springtime. And let's have a look at the last sentence. About the woodlands I will go to see the cherry hung with snow. Oh, and since to look at things in bloom, 50 springs are little room. Ooh. I wonder if you can explain to the cat what the poet really means in the last line. Okay, so this one is a challenge, so you might find this one a little bit tricky, so I don't want to give anything away with this one. So I will be looking out for those sentences that really impress me. And remember, when the question says explain, what do we use? We use the conjunctions because, or what is one that Miss Morgan loves you to use? Since, that's right. Or you can use as. Okay, so have a good go at that last one, and I can't wait to see some of your answers. Okay, Year 3, well done for getting through the questions today for our poems. So our poems are all done now, and tomorrow we will be having some writing to do it in your writing books, okay? But I want us to complete a challenge today, so I will be looking out for those people who are going to complete this challenge for me. Now, I have 1, 2, 3 pictures here. And your challenge today is to write me some metaphors to match these pictures. So I've thought of some myself. So the first one, I saw some snowflakes. So I put, the snowflake is a dancing flower. For my picture number 2, I've put, the lake is a mirror, because it looks like a mirror, doesn't it? It reflects. And number 3, I've put, the eyes are daggers, because they're like daggers staring into your soul. Okay, so have a think, why have I used are there instead of is a? The eyes are, the lake is a. Okay, I've used are because eyes are plural, there are 2 eyes, okay? Lake is singular, there is 1 lake. So you might want to use are if you've got an item with more than 1 thing, okay? So make sure you take a picture of your board so we can see them sent into the Year 3 email, and pause the video here, and then I will see you for tomorrow's learning, okay? See you then, bye.